The most powerful witch hunters now were coming from Twitter, the Ivy League, and the progressive left. J.K. Rowling used to be a villain to the right because she wrote books about witchcraft. Now she's a villain to the left because she has the crazy belief that there's more to being a woman than pronouns and lipstick.
Emma is rightly free to disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public. But I have the same right, and I've finally decided to exercise it. I mean, mic drop, Stuber Gear. She could not have said this more perfectly, better, more powerfully, or more in a more damaging way for Emma Watson. She deserved every bit of scorn.
After all those years of being thrown under the bus by the same stars she helped make famous, J.K. Rowling finally said enough and hit back hard. She roasted Emma Watson for joining the woke side and trying to drag her over the trans debate. And let's be real, J.K.'s words always cut deep, but this time she went all in with her sharp tongue and wild humor, and people were not ready for this level of savage energy. It's like she reminded everyone who really owns the spotlight.
I want to make a couple of points. I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. When you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. For the past few years, I've repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically. Ironically, I told producers I didn't want her to be hounded as the result of anything I said.
People are saying that J.K. Rowling quietly said she has seen every jab and smug look from Emma Watson and the other Potter stars since they were kids, and she chose to stay silent. Not because she was weak, but because she cared for them like a mother, so she held back, even though she easily could have hit back hard. But that care was not returned. Instead, they joined the mob that attacks first and thinks later and burned the bridges between them, and now everyone is waiting to see what will happen next.
She speaks of that clip that we just watched. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech, and in truth, that was a turning point for me. But it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. This is the one in which Emma attacked JK in 2022. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained the single sentence, "I'm so sorry for what you're going through. She has my phone number." This was back when the death, rape, and torture threats against me were at their peak, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety.
So the story goes that Emma Watson later tried to quietly take back her words and say sorry for all the harsh stuff she said about J.K. Rowling, especially for leaving her side when the woke crowd came after her. Deep down, she probably knew J.K. was just speaking the truth, but her pride was too big to admit it. So instead of saying sorry herself, she used someone else to do it for her, hoping people would just move on. But honestly, that just makes her look scared, because if she was brave enough to call out the woman who made her famous, she should also be brave enough to apologize in public anything less. Just shows how weak that move really was.
Petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Like other people who have never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is.
And that right there is exactly why Hollywood is drowning in its own fake wokeness. These celebs live in a shiny bubble so big that they can't even see the real world anymore. They talk about kindness and equality, but have no clue what it means to struggle or to work hard just to get by. Emma Watson is the clearest example of this. She lives in luxury travels anywhere she wants, buys anything she sees, and never worries about the price of food, rent, or even gas. So when she talks about justice and being woke, it sounds nice, but it's empty because she doesn't live in the same world as the people she claims to defend. Her words cost nothing because her comfort protects her from every consequence, and that's the thing about Hollywood. It rewards pretending, it celebrates acting, not honesty. So when real life gets messy, they hide behind big words and trends, thinking it makes them heroes, when really, it just proves how out of touch they've become.
She's never going to be placed on a mixed public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed changing room at a council-run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service?
Emma Watson just got hit hard because J.K. Rowling decided to finally speak without holding anything back. She said, "Emma will never really know what it feels like to be a woman stuck in a changing room with a man pretending to be one." J.K. explained that kind of fear and discomfort so clearly it gave people chills. She talked about how it takes away a woman's sense of safety and privacy, and then she pointed out the truth that Emma will never deal with that kind of danger because her fame and money keep her protected from real life. JK wanted everyone to see that it's easy for rich stars to preach about being woke when they don't have to live with the fallout. But for regular women out there, the danger is real, and the price is heavy every single day.
Cell with a male rapist who's identified into the women's prison. I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges.
J.K. Rowling really nailed it when she called out Emma Watson for cheering on the trans movement without thinking about what it actually means for real women. She said that by pushing for men who say they are women to share private spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms, Emma isn't being kind. She's stepping on the rights that women fought hard to get. J.K. made it clear that safety and privacy are not fancy extras. They are basic needs that every woman should have, but people like Emma and her woke friends are willing to throw those away just to look inclusive, even though they'll never have to face the danger themselves. Jake reminded everyone that it's easy to talk about fairness when you live behind big gates and bodyguards, but real women don't have that kind of safety. And while Emma thinks she's fighting for justice, she's actually standing on the backs of the women who don't have her kind of money or power.
Is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, then assert their right to the former friend's love.
Emma Watson's silence has become the loudest part of this whole story because while she talks big about compassion and justice, she never once stood up for J.K. Rowling when people were sending her death threats and trying to destroy her. Instead, she quietly took the side of the same angry crowd that went after the woman who gave her a career. And that's not being peaceful, that's choosing the wrong team. J.K. was out there fighting for women's rights while Emma turned away pretending not to see anything. It's like watching a student betray the teacher who believed in her. But through it all, Jake stayed strong, calm, and unshaken, proving once again who the real fighter is in this whole mess.
Disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right, and I've finally decided to exercise it. I mean, mic drop, Stuber gear. She could not have said this more perfectly, better, more powerfully, or more in a more damaging way for Emma Watson. She deserved every bit of scorn.
The thing about J.K. Rowling that people often forget is how fair she actually is. She never told Emma Watson she couldn't believe what she wants or support who she likes. Jake has always respected that. Everyone has the right to think and speak for themselves, even if their opinions clash with hers. But she also believes she deserves that same right to speak her truth and defend women without being dragged or silenced. The woke crowd can't seem to handle that. They act like free speech only belongs to them. They can yell, shame, insult, and cancel. But the second someone stands up to them, it suddenly becomes hate speech. JK's whole point is simple. Freedom of speech isn't a one-way deal. It works for everyone, and every time they try to shut her up, they only prove how right she's been from the start.
Witch hunters now were coming from Twitter, the Ivy League, and the progressive left. J.K. Rowling used to be a villain to the right because she wrote books about witchcraft. Now she's a villain to the left because she has the crazy belief that there's more to being a woman than pronouns and lipstick.
Bill Maher totally nailed it this time, and it's kind of funny when you think about how things have flipped because J.K. Rowling used to be the one the right wing couldn't stand, always getting slammed for her politics and loud opinions. But now she's the target of the same progressive crowd that once praised her, all because she won't repeat their talking points. The same people she inspired with her stories are now trying to wipe her out, and that's what Maher called out. He said, "JK's real courage isn't in her books, it's in how she stands tall against the angry mob in real life. No matter the hate, the threats, or the cancel attempts, she doesn't back down." And Maher, who's clearly over all the woke nonsense, gave her full credit for staying strong and true to herself, and honestly, he's completely right to cheer her on for that.
I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. Oh my God. It's so effective. It's so good. F this woman and her betrayal of J.K. Rowling when J.K. Rowling needed a friend, when she could have used just silence. If Emma Watson disagreed so mightily, and by the way, I don't believe she did. I believe she went along with the woke mob, just like all these actors do. There's no way she actually believes a man can become a woman. It's scientifically proven he cannot.
The truth is, Emma Watson could have handled everything so differently. Even if she didn't agree with J.K. Rowling, she could have kept her peace and shown a little respect. After all, J.K. is the one who gave her the role that changed her life and made her famous around the world. But instead of staying neutral, Emma jumped in with the woke crowd and turned her back on the woman who built her career. She wanted to look good for the public to prove she's part of that trendy woke club, but in doing that, she exposed how fake it all really is. While JK faced hate threats and endless attempts to silence her, she stood tall, never backing down, and that's what real strength looks like. Emma might have the spotlight, but JK has the courage, and this whole drama just proves that free speech isn't only for the ones who scream the loudest, it's for everyone, no matter who they are. So if you're loving this kind of real talk and all the drama that Hollywood tries to hide, then you gotta stick around, because here at Jacob Reports, we bring you the truth, raw and unfiltered every single time. So don't miss out, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and keep watching because the next story is even crazier than this one.